Welcome back to Manifesting Your Dreams.net. Here with Pablo Miguel. I'm here with Jeff Lobeck, and we've been having an amazing conversation. We are inspiring people on manifesting their dreams, right? And we all have dreams. We all have things that we like to see in our lives. Maybe at one point we were moving in that direction and something happened. And maybe we're in a place today where we like things to be a little bit different. And so our outcome is to empower you. Our outcome is to inspire you, to give you tips, to give you strategies so you can get back on track and you can manifest the life that you actually deserve, right? And to do that, we use in the book Think and Grow Rich. We're going over every week on a different chapter. The chapter this week is about thoughts are things. The important thing about actually creating whatever we want to manifest in the physical world, we have to create it first with our mind. We have to create it in a clear idea with as much definition as possible, because every thought that we have actually has a creative power. Every word that we use has a creative power. So we are part of social media shows here, the broadcasting network that is bringing you content every way so you could actually enjoy a little bit more about your life. And one of the things that make a difference when we want to manifest something is if you create the identity that you have a force that can actually manifest anything you want. And one way you're going to have trouble manifesting things is if you label yourself as a victim, right? In other words, we can either, and this is something that psychologists have done studies, they call it Locust of Control. Some people have the Locus of Control, that they're the ones that create things in their lives, and other people are just wired differently. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other one, but it's wired a little bit different, where other people have control of their lives, right? The reality is that some things we do have control and other things we don't. So we would be very smart if we were able to differentiate those things, right? I have no control of the weather today, right? But I have control what I'm wearing, where I am, what do I do, right? So everything else, at the very minimum, we can control our attitude. When something happens to us, how we react to that situation that happened to us, we actually have 100% of that control. How we determine what something means, right? When we have a challenge or a situation, if we say like, oh, why is this always happening to me? Well, I just gave that situation total control, right? Or I could say, you know what, this happened to me. How can I turn this into something positive? How can I use this in my favor? So we were gifted with an unbelievable brain that has a lot of power. We just have to use it a little bit more intelligently. So you have some great ideas about that. Why don't you share it with us?
Yeah. I share this quite often with a lot of people that are struggling at a time. And I tell them, I said, I can change your life with changing just one word in your vocabulary. And they're like, well, what is it? What's the word? What's the word? And I said, you need to change the word to for. And they're like, what do you mean? And I says, life is not happening to you, life is happening for you.
Wow.
Now, if you really think about that, everything in your life is happening for you. That means that life is one of our greatest teachers that we have. If we just think that life is happening to us, now we're in that victim mode. Now we're like, well, I have Monday and Tuesday off, and I want to go to the lake, but it rains. Well, then all of a sudden I'm a victim because I'm mad because I had a day off and I want it to rain. You had no control over it. You've taken it in as the victim role. What you can do with life is happening for me, now you can look at a situation and you can go, oh, what can I learn from this? So we have a lot of patterns that happen in our lives, and they start to show up in our lives when we start to realize that life is happening for us. And these patterns are just showing up in our lives of like, let's take like money. A lot of people want to have more money. Well, all of a sudden, some people might get into the mode of like this pattern of like, well, every time I get a little extra money, my car breaks down, or my couch needs to be cleaned, or I need some money to pay off a bill that just showed up. And all of a sudden now it's gone. Well, that's a pattern to like look at it and go, that's interesting. How is life happening for me? What is it trying to teach me now? So you sit back and you look and you're like, oh, I don't have that relationship I want with money. So you change the relationship, and all of a sudden the money that starts to go into the bank account because you get a bonus is all of a sudden now it's still there and everything's working. It's because you learned your lesson. It's very interesting on how it all works out. But when you start to realize life is happening for you now, here you are, you're part of this whole oneness community of this is happening for me. I can learn from this. So when you graduate from, like, it's May right now, there's a lot of commencements going on. A lot of people are graduating. Well, commencement means the beginning. Most people think it's the end. Most people get done with college, some people get done with high school, and they think that's the last time I need to learn. Really look at becoming a lifelong learner. And if you can become a lifelong learner, that life is happening for you, you're going to have everything that you want.
That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic, because the reality is that life is happening for us. You know? So it is happening for us. Look at all the things that we have that we actually, other people don't, right? And when you were just describing that, I said, you know what, that has happened to me. I've been there, where you know, have some extra money and then something happened and that money went away. But then right now I'm thinking, what if I didn't have that extra money coming? The car was going to break down anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So it was good that that money came in, because I was able to pay, you know, that car that I just broke down. So think about who do you know that can actually benefit from these great ideas, great information, and pay it forward. Tag them along, invite them over to the next program. Start being an example. What if you became an example of creating your dream life? Think about the impact that you can make in so many other people, right? Just like you sharing some of the stories from your son and so forth, I'm thinking like, you know what? There were times in my life that I used to be like that, right? Like you're saying, hey, this is going to happen, and it happened, right? And there's some other times in my life where actually I didn't have that energy, right? That feeling of certainty that, hey, this is what I like to create, and it's going to happen no matter what, right? So what I'm realizing as I'm listening to you, Jeff, is that I had the choice. I had the choice in both occasions, right? Mm-hmm. I could choose to say, hey, this is going to happen because it's good. Or I could choose to say, well, I don't know if I have what it takes, right? So this is something that we all go through. And when you look at people that we admire, mm-hmm. guess what? They have bad days, they have bad weeks, they have challenges. Some of the people that you think their lives are perfect, we all have some of those, right? Like, oh my God, they're so lucky and everything's so perfect on them. They actually have a lot of challenges too, but they don't talk about them. Right? They just overcome their situations. They overcome their problems. And don't we all know people that are always complaining about something, right? You think their life is a total mess, and then when you get to know them from a little closer, you go like, oh my God, look at all the blessings you have, but you never talk about them, right? Because they're part of their identity is actually to be complaining about something that is going on in their life. So none of us is perfect, and none of us will ever get to be perfect, but at the least, wouldn't it be nice just to be happy? Right? To happily create the lives that we can, to make a positive impact in our communities around us. And if there was one thing that you like to see happening in the next 90 days, if there's one thing that you say, you know what, if I'm able to manifest this one thing, it could be in your relationships, it could be in your work, it could be in your finances. What is one thing that will make a huge difference, right? Because one of the nice things about manifesting your dreams is that the formula is pretty much the same, right? And you will have challenges. This is something that is going to happen, but then you become better at overcoming your challenges, right? Number one, because you expect them, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing, there's another book that I recommend, is called Mastery, and the book Mastery says when something happens to you that you were not expecting it, right? To go like, I was expecting something to happen. You just didn't know what it was, mm-hmm. right? Because that, like you were saying, that car breaking down or whatever, mm-hmm. that something is going to happen. You know why? Because the world is in a constant state of change, right? If you think about this planet moving fast, right? And then you have 7 billion people now, close to 8 billion people, everybody taking some action. Somebody's going to do something that is going to be opposite to what you want to do, right? So there's going to be challenges that appear. The key is how do we react in front of those challenges and to be prepared when those happen, right? So what is something that you do when something happens unexpected? What is part of your psychology or your mindset, or do you have any strategies when something happens so it doesn't mess up your day?
Yeah. One of the things that I do, and one of the things I'll finish with what you were talking about, is we all think that we're islands. We all think that we're by ourselves. And these are the type of programs that more people should be listening to. There's so many things on YouTube and different things in this channel that right here, you could be on here every day for an hour or two and you're going to learn something new. And that's the stuff that we want to do. Then you realize that you're not an island, and a lot of people that are sitting in front of these cameras and talking, they're just like you and me. They've gone through it too, and they're still going to go through it. With that said, one of the things that I use is a tool that I learned about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's called positive focus. And so when something negative happens in our lives, what I do is it's really quick, it's really easy, and simple and easy is the best thing because now you're going to use it. You're going to use it in your life. So
I like simple.
It's four questions. It's what, why, lesson, apply. What, why, lesson, apply.
Okay.
So what, why, lesson, apply. So the first thing is what happened. But here's a very important part of it. What really happened? What's the reality? You have to take all your stories out of it. It's just like
sometimes we put emotion into it and
put emotion,
like a big drama, right?
So
no drama, right?
So no drama. So it's just what happened. What happened? Second thing is why. So why was it positive? So you got to find a positive in what happened there. So here's what happened in my life. Why did it happen? Why was it positive? Why, lesson. What's the lesson I can learn? So the lesson you can learn is it's going to be connected to every area of your life. It could be your body, your relationships, your spirituality, your business. But if it happened in business, it's still going to react and help you in your relationship because something happened there where it's all connected. So what's the lesson you can learn? And now how can you apply this in every area of your life? So it's what, why, lesson, apply. I'll tell you a quick story, and I'm going to go back to Zachary. Zachary's in 8th grade. He had a really good Spanish teacher that was the coach for volleyball. He kept asking him because he was getting taller and taller. You should play volleyball. And he was in karate at the time. And he goes, well, I don't know if I want to play volleyball. Well, she finally talked him into going out. Long story. He's playing the first 4 games as their team played. They lost all their matches.
Oh boy.
So they really never got to go. It was the best out of 3 games, the best sets. So with what was going on is Zachary, with his first time ever being in a team sport, he didn't understand this. He was on the B team. They had an A team, so there's better players than the kids that weren't as good. So he was on the B squad. So finally they get to the 5th game, the whole family's there, right?
Oh wow!
Whole family's there, and they're playing. They finally get to go to the 3rd game. They win a game, they lose a game. Now they get to go to the 3rd game. They had never done it before. In the whole 3rd game, she keeps all the 8 players in, and they win. They win. Everybody's excited except for one person in the stands, Zachary. Zachary is mad because he didn't get to play more. Right. So we're driving home, and he's all upset. So I applied these 4 questions to him. I said, okay, in reality, what happened? He goes, well, we won the game, and I'm mad. And I said, well, why are you mad? He goes, I don't know. So I said, what's positive about this? He goes, nothing. So I coaxed him and asked him a couple more questions, and he goes, well, what's positive is I'm mad about this, and I want to get better. I want something to happen. I said, well, the lesson is that you learn something, and how can you apply it, and what will you do? And he goes, I'm going to talk to my coach and see how I can get more playing time.
Wow.
So him getting mad made him realize I need to go do that. So how are you going to apply it in your life? I said, talk to the coach tomorrow. Well, Zach is not a person to wait. He sent her an email that night. And he sent her an email and he said, I'm really upset that I didn't get to play the 3rd game. How can I get more playing time? He talked to the teacher or the coach the next day. She said, you stay after practice, I'll give you some drills to work on. So he worked on them at school and at home. We went in the backyard and practice. At the end of the season, he got the most improved player, and she read that email to the students afterwards because he chose to do something about it. So he took something bad, negative. Oh, I'm upset. We asked him, why was it positive? What's the lesson, and how can you apply it in your life? He applied it in his life, and what happened was he became the most improved player on the team. And to this day, he's a junior in high school, and he's on the varsity team, playing varsity volleyball.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. There's always something that we could do. There's always something that we can control, right? So Jeff, it's been such a pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to have you again. Maybe in a couple of months you can come back to Las Vegas. So for everybody watching, I hope you enjoy the show. Pick up one or two things that you could actually take action on and share this with your friends, and go to manifestingyourdreams.net so we can actually include you on the next giveaway. So we're going to do a giveaway over the next week. So with all that, manifesting your dreams, Pablo Miguel and Jeff Lobeck from Las Vegas, wishing you an amazing life. You go and you make it happen. Bye-bye now.